Welcome back here to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show, powered by Vision Wheel. I'd like to welcome my next guest, and I'm very, very excited about Mike Spagnola, that's the president and CEO of SEMA. Mike, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, I guess right now in SEMA world, this is really, at least in regards to the SEMA show, because I want to talk about SEMA in general, but in regards to the SEMA show specific right now, this is like the calm before the storm. I know registrations, I think booth placements are getting ready to happen here in the next couple of weeks. I know my credentials and stuff we're a couple of weeks out, so really the calm before the storm.
It is. This is about the time that we, of course, we're doing already the layout. We're doing a mock layout right now because we have, thousands of applications in 4 booths. So we do this mock layout that we just kind of have an idea where everybody's going to be. But then the booth selection actually starts. So we start with our manufacturers that have been with us the longest. So we've got some 56-year manufacturers, been here for 56 years, done the show for 56 years. They get to choose first. We already know the size booth they want. We kind of know where they want to be, but they get to do the actual selection process. Okay. So that's all going to start happening here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's so I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, your background, SEMA in general. I mean, I guess jump into things. I think a lot of people, I've been involved in the industry for a long time. SEMA is much bigger. A lot of people on the outside think of SEMA, and they first think, oh, November, the show in Vegas. Well, which is true. It's a huge part of SEMA, but SEMA is so much more than that. A lot of people see that 1 week a year, but kind of explain what SEMA is to the aftermarket and what SEMA does, because there's so much you're involved in that keeps pretty much the entire industry in movement.
It does. So, it's funny because when I tell people I work for SEMA, they say, oh, so do you live in Las Vegas? Our show is 4 days out of the year. So, there's things we do the other 361 days of the year. That's a lot, right? So, even starting with just our government relations, we have we have 4 places. I'm here in Diamond Bar in our main headquarters, and about 140 people here in this building. And then we've got a building in Detroit, which is a research center that we do a lot of work in helping manufacturers develop products and taking them to market and emissions compliance and working alongside the OEs. And, so it's a full product development center. We have a building in Indianapolis right near the Speedway because we also own PRI, which is our racing division, and then an office in Washington, D.C. And we have a staff of 14 people there that just work on protecting our industry every single day. And, I'm pretty involved with that as well. But there's so much that goes on, even though we're in this Trump administration, there are still things that kind of get swung at us all the time where there's, they're trying to close off-road areas. They're trying to say you can't, you have to drive an electric car, that, these EV mandates are still facing us. There's still things that we have to do with EPA and, all the time there's something. Last year we won a ruling in Georgia. You couldn't lift a vehicle. I mean, they literally had a law in the books that you couldn't lift your Jeep. And so we fought that and won it. And so that kind of stuff goes on all the time. And then there's things like, again, this product development center where we help manufacturers develop products and take it to market. If you're doing, if you're building anything for performance on an engine, it's got to go through an emissions test before you can sell it. So we work with CARB and EPA, and we've got these emission centers, one here in Diamond Bar and one in Detroit, where we can test your product and get you that EO, which allows you to sell that product legally. And then other product development things, like we have CAD data for our manufacturers to, if you were going to develop a suspension on a Mach-E and you wanted to lift it, we could help you with the CAD data off that Mach-E so that you could develop different suspension and in those sorts of parts. So a lot of things like that. We've got a software division. Of course, we got our membership division. We have member benefits. So, in all, we're, our industry is a $337 billion a year industry, the economic impact of the industry. We help support 1.3 million U.S. jobs in our industry. And so we make that pretty vocal that when people are trying to shut us down, what they're doing to the economy, what they're doing to people, what they're doing to jobs. So pretty active in all of that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, I guess, your background, because I think you came in, well, I mean, as president and CEO, you've been involved with SEMA for a very long time, but in February of 2022, and I'm going, man, I'm just looking at that timeline going, you entered your current role at a huge seismic shift in our industry. I'm like, that's,
Yeah,
I don't know, want to know if you were, I mean, part of me goes, man, you were kind of thrown to the wolves, Mike. Like that was, I mean, there was such a huge, and we're still feeling it now, but ripple effect. I mean, it was coming right out of COVID, but just in general, I mean, our industry was in a massive shift. I mean, how has that been? Because when you came in, that was just an interesting period to be thrust into this new role.
It was. You know, look, I spent my whole entire career in the automotive industry and aftermarket and manufacturing and distribution. Bought and sold 5 companies over that time. Been a SEMA member forever. Was on the SEMA board, and I came in 2013 on a 3-year contract to develop the SEMA garage and product development centers, because my whole life had been in, you know, in product development, manufacturing, that sort of thing. So creating the SEMA garage here in Diamond Bar at first. And then in Detroit, and then taking on some other responsibilities within SEMA. Yeah. So so I'm now, I think, 12 years into my 3-year contract, and like you mentioned, I became the CEO. Yeah, it was an interesting time. We had a bit of turnaround to do. We had some cleaning up to do. We had to kind of get healthy financially again, and as well as just work on a lot of things internally. And so it's been fun. It's been a fun bit of a turnaround, but we're back financially strong now. We've added a lot of staff into marketing and some other areas in our government affairs, and really software and systems, and really just kind of modernizing everything we do here at SEMA, as well as protecting the industry, you know, and all of that. And then, you know, background, and I'm obviously into cars. I've been into cars my whole life. I love road racing. I love roading as well. You know, we've got a couple of Can-Am Mavericks in the family, and some other kind of fun off-road toys. My 2 sons still run legend cars, and you know, so we're as a family, we're out playing with cars almost every weekend.
Well, and you know, let's talk about a little bit about the show, because I know I want to go back into some other SEMA stuff, but I know last year, I mean, I don't think I've missed a SEMA show in 20 years, maybe, personally. Wow. But last year, I mean, I felt like, man, the show is back. And then seeing the numbers, I mean, biggest SEMA show, you know, post-COVID. I mean, to me, it was just a massive show. But I'm looking at like SEMA now versus when I kind of started going 20-ish years ago. And it's got a different feel to it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, but you've got, you know, SEMA Fest and things like that. You guys have kind of, I've always said, you know, that in this industry, there's an adapt or die mentality, but I feel like I'm watching SEMA adapt as we go, and seeing kind of the shifts you guys are going to, the new demographic of automotive consumers and things like that. I mean, tell us some of the internal changes you guys have made, because, you know, SEMA definitely, you know, in the last 2 decades has changed quite a bit.
It has. And, you know, we talk about it as skating to where the puck's going, because the market is changing. And the SEMA show itself has always been a B2B show. You have to be in the industry. You have to be a buyer or a seller of performance products. And we are still that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the show. Friday, we have opened it up to consumers. It's kind of that, you know, we don't sell SEMA. So, but what we do as far as branding, and really, it's the automotive event that every consumer would love to go to, but never has been able to go to, right? Yeah. Unless they can sneak in with a buddy or find a friend or pretend that they're in the automotive industry and, you know, find their way in. And some of that happens still, for sure. We all know that. But, you know, now Friday is open to the public. And so you can come to SEMA. You can come to the show in Vegas. You can buy a consumer badge for Friday and actually walk the show. And then Friday night, we have the SEMA Fest, which is a concert and really celebrating everything SEMA. We have drifting and nitro circus and a car show going on with live rock band music. And so, you know, we had nearly 15,000 consumers at our SEMA Fest concert last year on Friday night. So, you know, it's 160,000 people. It is 2,500 manufacturers. It's on a campus of 3 million square feet. 1.2 million square feet are just booths. So by far is the largest automotive trade show in the U.S., largest show in Vegas. It's larger than any other trade show that goes on in Vegas. And we're excited about that, and we continue to let it grow. We actually have expanded again this year. So we are moving into the West Gate with some more booths, some into the hotel itself. We've pretty much filled all the convention centers and the outside canvas. So continue to watch that thing grow and really just celebrate the automotive industry and serve and protect that industry.
Well, I can tell you as somebody that's been going to SEMA for quite a while, the first year the Tesla tunnels debuted, I tell you what, I think you saved me miles of walking with those. I know that wasn't all SEMA, but I was like, man, that was, I think all of us were celebrating those tunnels.
No, again, the city continues to evolve. We work closely with the city. We work very closely with the convention center. And, you have to have that kind of relationship. We actually meet with them several times a year and understand what's going on. As you know, there's a remodel going on, but we worked with them to have the least amount of impact on our show. We were actually able to work with them to restructure even some of the construction so that it wouldn't affect our show so much. And this will be the final year of it. 26 will be an all new convention center, all new fascias in the front. And but like you said, the Tesla tunnel, they're what's amazing is that they can drill about a mile a month of that Tesla tunnel. And over the next couple of years, you'll be able to take it right from the airport to just about any hotel.
It's crazy. And yeah, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, definitely go to YouTube, pull it up. It's pretty amazing what they've been able to build underneath that convention center.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Rigid Chase Lite incorporates 5 modes, including stroke, brake, running, courtesy, and reverse in a compact 7-inch by 2-inch fixture. The Rigid Chase attaches to any roll bar or flat mounting surface, and users can control each of the multiple functions independently. The Rigid Chase is one more way for off-road enthusiasts to own the night.
But, going back to SEMA, I mean, there's a lot going on, politically within the industry, things like that. What are some of the things? I mean, obviously you mentioned EVs, we've got EPA, we've got all kinds of stuff. What are some of the biggest issues right now that SEMA's helping us, us as members of SEMA? What are you helping us fight right now?
Yeah, so we've been big on. I've been very vocal about the EV mandates, and SEMA has been very vocal about them. We're not against EVs. We think they're part of the future. We think they're a cool technology. We don't think that the government should put their thumb on the scale and say it's EV and EV only. That consumers should have a choice of what they want to drive depending on their needs. So we've been very vocal about that. We were happy when President Trump signed the EV mandate bill in. I think his second day he came into office. That was exactly our wording and things we were looking for to reverse the EV mandates. They are still in place in California. And so there's a Congressional Review Act that's going on right now that we're very much involved with, which is can California set its own rules? One of the last programs that the Biden administration did was signed off to say California could continue to create its own program and could continue to mandate EVs. And so there was a little known act called the Congressional Review Act that we were able to work with Zeldin and the EPA when the Trump administration came in, and we were able to successfully get that Congressional Review Act put into place. And so we're currently going through that review right now to see whether or not California can create its own rules. So that's something we're very vocal about and right in the middle of. Right now, Congress is on break, but they'll be back in another week, and we'll continue to push that one through. And then here in California, we have this Leno's Law that we're pretty active with. Jay Leno has been the sponsor, where currently in California, you have to smog every 2 years. You have to go to a referee station and get your car smogged from 1977 on. And we're asking to make that a rolling 35 years. So if we can push that one through, it'll start 1990, of course, now, and then 91 next year, et cetera. So anything pre-90 wouldn't need to go through the unnecessary smog checks. If other states have something like that, they're 25 years. We're, I think, being generous at 35 years. But we would love to see that rolling 35-year program start. You know, in California, of course, if you don't have OBD2, you've got to literally go to these smog stations and put the car up on a dyno, on a roller.
Yeah.
And most of the emissions stations now don't even have that equipment. And if they do, they can charge you quite a bit more, $200 or $300 to get your emissions compliance work done. So if you think about the amount of vehicles on the road pre-1990, it's about 1.25% of the vehicles on the road. So, you know, we think it's unnecessary. We're hoping that we can get our California legislators to see it the same way. And we made it through the first session last week. Jay and I actually went to Sacramento and testified, and we got through the first committee. It goes through another review committee in next Monday, and then it'll go to the Senate in California, and then Assembly, and then to the governor's desk for signing. So that's a big one. And then, of course, we are constantly looking at rules and regs on off-road. You know, there's constantly trying to shut down, you know, various areas for us to go off-roading on. So those are always in the center of our bullseye. We look at literally every day what new laws or what new proposals are coming up. And that team of 14 people in DC don't let anything get past them that could affect our industry without us having a voice.
Well, and I think that's the scary thing. I mean, it's great that, you know, there is a team of 14 people there, because it's, you know, you never know when something's going to be slid in and trying to go under the radar, and they'll package it in with a dozen or 30 other things, you know, and it's just this small little bullet point down in the bottom, but the ripple effect, if it goes through, is just catastrophic to certain people in the industry.
Oh, we just had one in Oregon where they were going to ban leaded fuels at racetracks. And it was a small little thing that came up, but we were able to get it shut down. That kind of stuff literally happens every week.
And, you know, and the funny thing is like you had mentioned, you know, at least in California with a little over 1% of the cars pre-90, but things like leaded fuels at racetracks, the bigger picture is it's so small there. You know, if you're going to go after something, there's so many other things that you can go after that's going to make a much bigger impact than leaded fuels at a racetrack in Oregon. Right.
Yeah. So, you know, you would think all of that is common sense. It doesn't always come off that way.
No, not at all. Oh man. But, well, I guess, you know, let's talk a little bit about, you know, things, you know, in your past. Obviously you've been with SEMA, you said, for, you know, you're way beyond your 3-year contract. I guess, what are some of your favorite moments or the biggest things that you've been a part of that have made an impact on the industry?
Oh, wow. You know, in my own businesses, just manufacturing and distribution, and watching businesses grow, and, you know, being part of that industry. You know, like you, I built a lot of show cars and stuff for the SEMA Show. You know, had the opportunity to be in some of the Ford builds, like yourself, and I think I have 9 or 10 Ford Design Awards, and same with GM and Stellantis. Back then it was Chrysler, but you know, those sorts of things have always been fun. Been able to compete in some different kinds of racing as well. And then, from a SEMA side, I think probably creating these SEMA garages that, again, help, stuff that you and I have learned over the years to help other manufacturers develop products and get them to market, between the availability of CAD and 3D printing and, again, our emissions labs and those sorts of things. It used to take up to 2 years to get, let's just say you developed a supercharger for a Mustang. It could take 2 years to get an EO to where you could legally sell that product. And just so you know, if you didn't, if you decide to build that product and go to market and don't get that EO, the EPA and CARB can come after you for $37,500 per part sold. And so, helping manufacturers get through that process, get through the red tape, where it used to take 2 years to get an EO, we can get it down to about 4 to 6 months now. And from product development all the way to, getting that product ready to sell. So, pretty excited about that and the work we've done there. And then just, again, all the stuff that's going on today. I've been at this a long time, but I still get excited every day to get up and come here and be part of this and get to be part of this. And it's, I pinch myself that I get to do it. We've got an amazing team of 170 employees here, and to work with the industry and, get to sit in front of, the heads of all these OEs and work alongside them, or again, go stand in front of Congress and testify on behalf of this association and behalf of the industry, is something I really enjoy. And, I try to still be a student in the industry. I read every trade I can. I try to figure out what's going on. I go to every race I can and hang out in the, with the drivers and see what's going on. So, for car guys like you and I, Jim, it's kind of a dream come true job. A lot of hours, a lot of stress. There's always somebody not happy about something. So, but you got to be thick-skinned at times. But I got a great board and a great staff that I get to work with, and it's just an honor to be part of it. Yeah.
Well, I got to say, you're talking about, some of the custom cars you built and things like that. I go, man, just from when I started, and, I haven't been doing this near as long as you have, but I'm like, man, the process now building a custom car and what's available to you and data and engineering and CAD and stuff versus back in the beginning. And my dad, he used to build, we're off-road racing family. So, I watched my dad fabricate trucks in the 70s versus, some of the off-road stuff we're designing now. And I'm going, man, it's a world difference now than it was even 25 years ago.
Oh, with just the scanners and the systems that we have today, where you can just, if your eye can see it, then the scanner can see it. And if you can, scan and reverse engineer something, and then, we have literally tens of thousands of CAD files now that we can supply for our manufacturers, which we didn't have 10 years ago, right? And so you can scan it. If we don't have that CAD data, we can scan it. We bring, we recently had about 6 months ago now, we had the new Toyota Tacomas in here. We worked alongside Toyota. We got those trucks before they came out. We were able to scan them. We were able to work with manufacturers to develop all the different parts so that when those vehicles hit the road and were available in the dealerships, we already had lift kits and, running boards and bumpers and all the other stuff ready to go for them. And that's kind of the beauty of it. When you can work alongside, the OEs, they recognize that we help them sell more vehicles. And so when you can work with somebody like Toyota or Ford or GM or any other car makers, where they give you these vehicles in advance, and then we bring manufacturers in and we can do these measuring sessions, and then again have that CAD data. You can literally get that CAD data, do your modifications in the computer, hit a button, throw it out to the 3D printer, print the part, stick it on the vehicle, see how it fits before you have to go into any manufacturing. The technology is amazing. And the quality just continues to go up because, a scanner's good to 1/1000th of an inch. I mean, that's a hair on your head. Yeah. So you can get that sort of quality products now, and that continues to go up. And then, if you just look at even what you're doing now in your builds, I go to the SEMA Show every year now, and the amount of engineering now, and the amount, like, just when you think no one can think of anything new or build anything crazier, or, I mean, just the welds now and all the stuff that people can create, it just blows you away.
Yeah. Well, and I know, you talked there about some of the stuff available and working with manufacturers. I know me, just on a, I'm a SEMA member, but just on a very smaller scale, but just with some of my consulting clients and things like that, just the data available to me on industry and trends and purchasing habits. And, I'll get a question and give me 30 seconds and I'll dive in and, pull a report, and I've got all kinds of stuff at my fingertips that I didn't even know was available till I started digging into it, and it's just the wealth of information SEMA's got available to its members is just crazy.
Yeah. Thank you. We have we have a research team, market research team. We've just added a couple more bodies there as well to continue to just drill down and understand what the marketplace is doing, how it's doing it, where are the trends, where, is overland the new hot thing, and, what does it really mean? Is that a fad, or is it really something? And what's the market size, and how many products are available? And, all those sorts of things, if you just continue to do that kind of market research. And, I mean, some of the recent research we did just on independent tire stores, it blew me away to understand that there's 45,000 independent tire stores across America. Like, I had no idea that, now we're not talking about the big chains. We're talking about mom and pop, tire stores. And then, what do they sell? Well, 60% of their products are obviously in tires, but another 40% are things like suspension and brakes and other things that they do. So, what does that mean to the industry, and how can we help our manufacturers and resellers work together to make sure that we optimize those 45,000 independent tire stores? So that's all again, to help our members manufacture and grow and grow this industry. That's really what we do.
Well, a few minutes back, you mentioned something about trends and things like that. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. What are some of the trends that you see coming that have you the most excited?
Well, the off-road industry continues just to go crazy. I mean, it just continues to be the thing, and how that expands, and how many more manufacturers are out there doing that sort of thing. And yes, we get jokes about the Bluetooth drive shafts. I'm quite aware of those sort of things that go on, and some of the spoofs that actually people do at the SEMA show. But off-road continues to grow. Obviously, the ATV market continues to grow. The whole side-by-side thing. Again, overland continues to grow. And, if you think about next gen and where they want to go, and the ability to get out and go camping and have a tent on the roof of your, even now, crossover vehicle, it doesn't have to be, a Land Cruiser. It can be just about, anything that generation wants to get out and isn't necessarily driving a 40-foot Prevost motorhome, So we see that continuing to grow. Certainly the whole tuner market, Japanese car market is growing as well. And, we are sometimes kind of thought of as that 32 hot rod, even 60s muscle car market, but we celebrate all that. The lowrider industry is going crazier than ever. And some of the work that's being done in the lowrider industry, we're going to celebrate this year.
Awesome. Well, that was kind of my next question to kind of cap things off. But you know what? Obviously, we're talking about the SEMA show, but also SEMA in general. What do things look like for SEMA and the SEMA show? What's coming in the next couple of years, and what should we all be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so again, we're going to continue to expand the consumer market at the SEMA show. We'll keep holy that holy grail of Tuesday through Thursday of B2B business. Excuse me, and then we will. And then we'll look to continue to expand that consumer market. Really what we're looking to see is, if you think about South by Southwest and, that sort of a deal, to be able to celebrate Industry Week at SEMA and continue to expand the kind of the territory to do different car events at different places during the week looks really exciting to me.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. Obviously, like we said, things are getting ready to get a little crazy for SEMA here in the next couple of weeks. But appreciate the time, my friend, and
Thank you.
looking forward to seeing you out at the show this November.
Awesome! Can't wait to see what you bring.